The 20th of May, Rabbi Moore, Parsha Hashavua with Rashi, Behar.
Okay, I'm a little bit late. Okay, let's go. We did Pasuk Tess, I believe. Lou, it's your turn, I believe, as well.
Pasuk Tess. Let's
Pasuk
see.
Tess.
Varta Shofar Teruah Bachodesh Hashvi'i Be'asor Lachodesh B'yom HaKippurim Ta'viru Shofar B'chol Artzechem. You shall sound a broken blast on the shofar
A
in the
broken
seventh
blast,
month.
interesting way of translating it.
Pardon?
I think I translated as a wailing sound.
Wailing.
Sorry?
Wailing. Trua.
Sure, correct.
Yeah, it's not. Well, Trua isn't Trua the one that has nine sounds in it?
Very short sounds, correct.
Yeah,
Actually,
I would think it's the broken blast. I would think the one that goes is the wailing.
well, the Gemara says both. The Gemara says, has a machloikas, what is a trua? Is it the woo, 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 kind of the weeping? That kind of weeping sound.
Ah.
Okay? I don't charge for the extra theatricals.
Well, you're very good, Rabbi. You should consider a
We'll
career
go into it,
change.
yeah? Okay. But anyway, so that's cool for the machlekes. What does trua mean? The Gemara has, but is it? Both agree it's a weeping sound. That's the Gemara
Right.
says. It's clearly above her, right? But question is, how is it? How is it? Just let me just check up one other thing here. Hold on. And I'm going to look for it over here. No, so it's over here. Okay. We are on the Here we go. I should say, you shall then sound the wailing shofar in the seventh month. Okay. Okay, either way. Let's continue. Right. Let's see the
Okay.
Rashi over here.
In the 7th month, on the 10th of the month, on Yom Kippur, you shall sound the shofar throughout your land.
Right.
So
this is a special mitzvah besides the mitzvah of shofar and Rosh Hashanah. On the Jubilee year, the 50th year, they would blow the shofar on Yom Kippur. And interestingly enough, just like we have 9 special musaf on Rosh Hashanah, which is instead of the regular 7 brachas, we have 9 brachas, so too was on the Yom Kippur of Yovel, they would also have 9 brachas, with the same Malchus, Zichronos, and Sheforos as we have on Rosh Hashanah. Okay?
yeah, Lashon, it's an expression of va ya viru kol ba machaneh, and they proclaimed in the camp. Lashon hakiraza. It's an expression of announcing.
Proclamation.
Proclamation. B'yom HaKippurim. B'yom HaKippurim. Oh, that's interesting. Rashi. Oh, mi mashma shene'amar b'yom HaKippurim. By implication of it being said on Yom Kippur, Eini Yodea Shehu Be'ashor Lachodesh. Don't I know that it's on the 10th of the month? Im Kain. If so, Lama Ne'emar Be'asor Lachodesh. Why does it say on the 10th of the month? Ella, but Lomar Lecha, to say to you, to ki as asor lachodesh, the blowing of the shofar on the 10th of the month, docha Shabbos, pushes off the Shabbos, b'chol artzechem, throughout your land, ve'ein tekias rosh Hashanah docha Shabbos. But the blowing of the shofar on Rosh Hashanah does not push off the Shabbos. B'chol artzechem, throughout your land. Ella, rather, beves din bilvad, in the court only.
Yeah. Now this actually, by the way, hello?
Yeah, you're breaking. Your voice broke up. I didn't hear you. Can you say again what you said, please?
Okay. I asked, can you hear me?
I can hear
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, good. Okay. Now this Rashi is quite problematic because this sounds like that the Torah tells us you don't blow shofar on Rosh Hashanah when Rosh Hashanah falls on Shabbos. That's the implication of it.
Right.
Ain't Rosh Hashanah, don't Shabbos ela bebezdin bilvad. Now, as any of you have learned more Rosh Hashanah says, like a number of other mitzvahs, Chazal said that if it falls on Shabbos, you don't blow shofar. But it's a rabbinic ordination. Similarly, you don't read Megillah. If Purim falls on Shabbos, you don't read Megillah, because maybe you're going to come to carry the Megillah. Or similarly, what else is there? So you don't shake lulav. If those are the main 3 things, which are Hazal said you don't do it on Shabbos. If in other words, if the Yom Tov falls on Shabbos, you don't do the particular mitzvah then, because we're worried maybe you're going to carry the object of the mitzvah in the street, in the Rishus Harabim. Akoponim, so that's the question. Rashi seems to imply over here, yeah, Davka Shofar Yovel on Yom Kippur, then that's Doicha Shabbos, because it's got to be Be'esola Chodesh, come what may, on the 10th of the month. But Kiyas Rosh Hashanah, on a regular year, Doicha Shabbos, the Kiyas Shofar of a regular Rosh Hashanah is not Doicha Shabbos in all your land, but only in Bezdin. So I'll read you my note over here. Ramban asks, surely Rosh Hashanah states that the sounding of the shofar is not considered work to be forbidden on Shabbos. And the only reason it is forbidden when Rosh Hashanah falls on Shabbos is by the edict of Rabbi Yochanan and Zakkai. Since not everyone was skilled in sounding the shofar, we can say the person may carry the shofar in a public domain in order to learn from an expert how to sound it. He thus limited the sounding of shofar on Shabbos only in Bezdin. Mizrahi and Goari explain the teaching here is in fact only rabbinical, but is based on this verse, i.e. an asmachta. Okay. There's actually a more involved answer, but I'm not going to go into it because it's pretty complicated. So I'm leave it for the moment. Okay. But basically, you should know that what Rashi seems to imply over here, that the reason why we don't blow shofar on Rosh Hashanah falls on Shabbos is only, even though Rashi sounds it's like a Torah ordination, in fact, it's only a rabbinical ordination. Okay. Let's go on. Pasuk Yud, Meir.
Okay, Yud. Vikidashtem et shnat chamishim shana ukvatem dror ba'aretz lechol yoshveha yovel hi tehiyeh lachem v'shavtem ish el achuzato v'ish el mishpachto tashuvu. Okay, so you should sanctify the 50th year and proclaim freedom throughout the land for all its inhabitants. It is Yovel, the Yovel year for you, and you shall return each man to his ancestral heritage, and you shall return each man to his family.
Right.
Okay.
I think that's how I translated it, actually. In other words, each man among you shall return to his possession. Let me see over here. Yeah, when each man among you shall return to his inherited property, each man among you shall return to his family. Yeah. Okay, let's see the Rashi here.
Okay. Very good. Rashi says, Vikidashtem, you shall sanctify. Bikinisata, at its onset, Mikadeshin otan beveit din. Okay, so they will sanctify it in the court, V'omrim, and they say, Mikudeshet Hashana, the year is sanctified.
Yeah, in a similar way that the month, when the beginning of each month, Bezdin proclaims that this is Rosh Chodesh, so too the beginning of the Jubilee year is also proclaimed as the Jubilee year.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Okay.
So next one is Ukratem, draw, and you shall proclaim freedom. Lavadim, for Hebrew servants. Ben Nirtzah, Ben Shelo Kalu Lo Sheishanim, Mishe Nimkar.
Inkar.
Okay, so that is Ben Yirtza, whether he had his ear bored, the
Right?
nail, okay, or
Or,
whether uh, the 6 years did not end.
right, now what he means is as follows. The rule is, from the time he's been sold, Mishanimka, the rule
Okay.
is as follows. A Jewish servant ostensibly only serves for 6 years. That is, if he stole and he had no money to pay back, so Bezdin sells him as a servant, as a slave, and he's sold to somebody whom he works for. And that person will obviously give money, and that will use that money to pay back the theft, pay for the whatever he stole. Now, but then he only serves them for 6 years. However, there's a rule that if at the end of 6 years he says, I want to stay on as a servant, he may do so, but then he has his ear pierced,
Mhm.
as you said, bored, whatever,
Right.
with an awl, and then he stays to be, continues to be a servant. However, and this is what the Pasuk's telling you over here, that's only up to the Jubilee year.
Ah,
And it makes
right.
no difference whether he had his ear pierced in the 7th year of the Jubilee cycle, or in the 20th year of the Jubilee cycle, or in the 45th year of this Jubilee cycle, or even in the 49th. Doesn't make a difference. Comes the 50th year, he goes free. And so Rashi says two examples over here. One is whether he has his ear pierced. Such a servant goes out when it comes the 50th year. Or similarly, even if he was sold by Bezdin, yeah, then he only works as a slave, as a servant, till the 50th year. Comes the 50th year, you won't find any servants to be had in the 50th year.
Uh-huh.
What is the status if he wants to sell himself in the 50th year? I'm not sure exactly what the status is. I don't know. I have to.
Wow. Hmm.
But anyway, that's for sure. At the onset of the 50th year, all servants go free.
Okay. And it goes on. Amar Rabbi Yehuda. Yehuda says, Malishon drawer. What is meant by the term drawer? The dayer be dara, the hulhu, is one who dwells, okay, in a dwelling place.
Well, yeah, in an inn.
Or in an inn, okay.
As they say, of no fixed abode.
Ah,
No, but it doesn't, yeah, that's what it means. He's not, how do you call it? He's not restricted in where he can live. He can live wherever he wants. So
right,
Rashi goes on to explain.
right. Shadar b'chol makom shehu rotzeh, he lives wherever he wants. Ve'eino reshut acherim, and is not under the
Jurisdiction of others.
jurisdiction of others. Okay, good.
Okay?
Okay. Yovel he, it is Yovel. Shanazot muvdelet mishar shanim. This year is different, distinct, I guess. Okay,
It's
from other
distinguished
years,
from other years.
distinguished. B'nekivat shem la levada. By giving the of the name a name to it alone.
has a unique name.
Unique name. Umashma, and what's the name? Yovel Shma. Yovel is its name. Al Shem Tikiat Shofar, on account of the blowing of the shofar.
Right.
Okay.
Meaning the Yovel is a name indicating the word shofar, meaning because it says, if you look in the Targum, what does he say it? Mashi. It's over here. Because a ram is called a Yovel in Aramaic.
Oh. Okay.
He said, yeah. He says the Sifsei Chomim says Russian Bimshocha Yovel. Right? A shofar is called a Yovel. So that's Rashi learns that the source of the etymology of the term Yovel is meaning a shofar. So the year when the shofar is blown, that's called Yovel. Let me see, 27. Yeah. Okay, let's go on.
Okay. Vishavtem ish el achuzato, and you will return to each man
To his
land.
to
Achuzatam, his
his
possession, I guess.
holden property, his heritage property.
Heritage properties. Okay. Shasadot, for the fields that were sold. Chozrot leva alehem, return to their owners. Okay, and then let's see. Then we have the ish el mishpachto tashuvu, and you will return each man to his family. L'rabot et hanirtza. Okay, and that is including the Hebrew servant that had his ear bored.
Right, meaning
Years.
each servant, irrespective of how he became or he still is a servant, he goes back to his family.
Uh-huh.
That's basically what Rashi's saying. As the pastor said, to include the nirtza, because the nirtza wasn't exactly the reason why he's a servant now is not because he was sold as a servant. It's because he decided to continue to be a servant. So therefore, that's what Pasuk's telling you over here, that anybody who is in a state of servitude goes back to his family. Okay, let's do Pasuk Yud Aleph. Let's see, you can start on it anyway. Lou?
Yud Aleph.
Yeah.
Yovel he shanas hacha mishim shana tiyeh lachem lo sees ra'u velo sik tsaru es safi checha velo siv tsaru es nizireha. Okay, so that means it is a Yovel year, 50th year. For you it shall be, you shall not sow, you shall not harvest its aftergrowth, and you shall not pick what was set aside for it for yourself.
Yeah.
Let's see. So Rashi says 11. Let's see. It's a Yovel year. Yovel He.
Shenasa Chamishim Shana.
The year is distinct from other years. Binekivas Shem La Levada. Through the giving
I
of.
think you went back. You went back in to the previous Rashi in the previous pasuk. No,
Oh,
you read that
oh,
pasuk.
I see. Here it is.
11. Yeah.
Yovel Ki Shanas Hachamishim Shana. It is Yovel, the 50th year. Ma Talmud Lomar. What is the verse saying? Lefi Shene'emar. Since it says, V'kidashtem v'gomer, you shall sanctify, etc. Kide Isa Barosh Hashana Uvetoras Kohanim, as it says in Rosh Hashanah and Toras Kohanim.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, in,
What?
right. So the Sifsei Chachomim adds in, and he says as follows. I'll read it out. Lefi shenema v'kidashtem, hava mina shetei mekudeshes b'yitziasa ad yom HaKippurim. Shekei moisifi michoil ala kodesh. Talmud loma yovel hi shnas ha-chamishim shana. V'lo shnas ha-chamishim v'achas. So since there's this concept of adding, like you have what's called on a regular Shabbos, Tosefes Shabbos, whereas you don't have Shabbos come in exactly at sunset. You add in a little bit before. And Motzei Shabbos, you don't have it exactly at when stars come out. You have it you add a little bit of time till after Shabbos. So I would have assumed as well, since you sanctified, you have to add in a little bit of time before and a little bit of time after. So the pasuk's telling you, no, only the 50th year has the Shem Yovel and not the 51st year. You only sanctify Jafka the 50th year. Okay?
Yeah.
I think we'll have to stop it here because we're going to be stopped anyway. So we'll pick up again over here the next Rashi, Es Nazireh, because it's a little bit complicated, this Rashi. But we'll see. We'll pick it up again tomorrow, B'ezrat Hashem.
Okay.
Okay?
Very good. Yeshkayach.
Thank you,
Have
Rabbi.
a great day. Be
Have
well.
a good day, Meir.
You too.